Hey vinyl community, what's up? In this episode, I am going to be ranking the studio albums of legendary 1970s punk band, The Clash. Really, you could categorize them as both punk and new wave. They started out in the first wave of British punk, along with the Sex Pistols, but they evolved over time till by the early 80s, they were actually producing more new wave pop music than anything that could actually be called punk. But that's the beauty of The Clash, is that they evolved. There was an arc. They started here. They ended up here. They grew. They embraced so many different styles of music. You had punk music. You had ska. You had dub. You had rockabilly. You had new wave, synthesized pop. I mean, they covered the entire spectrum of music during the course of their 6 albums. And I think it was probably a 9-year career for The Clash. But really, at the heart, you had the Lennon and McCartney duo of Joe Strummer and Mick Jones. Joe Strummer was the John Lennon to Mick Jones' Paul McCartney. Joe Strummer had the teeth and the attitude, and Mick Jones had the melody and the songcraft. He was just a brilliant way of putting together songs with hooks that were so memorable. And really, the two of them together, it was such a perfect marriage. And The Clash is such a perfect band. I'm so excited to sink my teeth into their catalog. But we got to start somewhere, and we're going to start at the bottom with number 6, Cut the Crap. Or basically, it could be called just crap, because essentially that's what it is. Mick Jones had been fired from the band a year earlier, and Joe Strummer really had no idea what the album should sound like, and it ends up being just a terrible pastiche of 80s cliched music. There's an overabundance of drum machines, these shouted choruses. It's just obnoxious. It doesn't flow well at all. I think We Are the Clash is maybe the most recognizable tune. That or This Is England. Those are probably the 2 songs you might recognize or may have heard if you had the misfortune to actually hear that album. But love The Clash, but not a fan of that album. Number 5, I am going to go with Give 'Em Enough Rope. Give 'Em Enough Rope is a great album. From here on out, all these albums are spectacular. I really have no issues with any of them. They all have great elements to each album. Julie's Been Working on the Drug Squad is great. Tommy Gun is fantastic. English Civil War, Guns on the Roof. So many great anthems here, so many great tracks, and it's just got the punk attitude, but they're starting to get a little closer to the more pop sensibilities, less aggression than you would find on their subsequent albums. But this is the last kind of truly solid punk album that they would produce. But it's fantastic. I love it all the way through. Can't complain about any of it. Sorry I have to rank it so low at number 5, but Give 'Em Enough Rope is a fantastic album. Number 4, I am going to go with Sandinista. Now, Sandinista is a 3-album set. It was on 2 discs, but this has 36 tracks on it, and it is such a long album. 6 more songs than the White Album even had, and it's just a lot to plow through. But the best songs on here, I think, are the Magnificent 7, Hitsville, You Okay? You start getting into some more ska and dub tracks on here. Junko Partner, Ivan Meets G.I. Joe is just a really weird song, but it works for me. I enjoy it, and I find it's very memorable. Somebody Got Murdered is a great ska track. You got One More Time, One More Dub. Lightning Strikes Not Once But Twice. Police on My Back is just a great pop track. Even though it's got a hard rock edge, it really is at its heart a pop song. So many different, I can't even go into all the tracks that are here on this album, but if you have the time to spend with Sandinista, it really is rewarding. There's not a bad track on here. It's just so much. It's so long. I mean, even after listening to the first disc, you feel like you've been through a marathon, and it's like, oh my God, you mean there's another 18 tracks on the next? Yeah, because there's 18 songs on disc 1, 18 songs on disc 2. Oh my God. Like, who's got the time anymore to spend listening to this? But I'm telling you, it's not a bad album. I like it. It's got such a diversity of style on it. It's definitely their most diverse album, but I like the other albums quite a bit more. And this one, I got to rank it number 4, but it is still a very worthwhile and rewarding Clash album. Number 3, I'm going to go with Combat Rock. This was the first Clash album that I actually owned. I remember my dad had the single of Rock the Casbah with Should I Stay or Should I Go on the B-side. Rock the Casbah is just a great... Topper Headon actually composed that track on piano, and he did the drum rhythm. He basically built the song up from his demo, but it's such a catchy track. It's so pop. It's so almost disco club, has club elements to it. Should I Stay or Should I Go is just a cheeky pop punk masterpiece. Love that. Just shows you just how brilliant Mick Jones was. Know Your Rights. It's just got so much attitude. It's really flipping the bird to the establishment. Car Jamming is very catchy. Overpowered by Funk actually has funk and disco elements to it, but it's a song you can dance to. It's got great effects on it. Actually, Allen Ginsberg, the beat poet, is on the track Inoculated City, which is just fantastic. I love Ghetto Defendant, a little bit more ska, dub music there. Straight to Hell is just a great track, great way to close out side 1. But this album is a classic. It's number 3 for me, but I'm telling you, any other band's catalog, it would definitely be number 1. That's just how strong the Clash's discography is. Love this album. Sadly, it was the last one to feature them as a quartet. The Joe Strummer, Mick Jones partnership would collapse after this album, but I'm so glad we got the music that we did from them. Number 2, I am going to go with their debut album, The Clash, a punk masterpiece, and really just a rock and roll masterpiece when it comes down to it. Clash City Rockers has so much attitude. I'm so bored with the USA. I live in the USA, and I'm not offended, and sometimes I'm bored with the USA, so I definitely can connect with that song. That song resonates with me, especially during the pandemic. But there's some great... Remote Control is great on here. White Man and Hammersmith Palais is kind of a mellow, little bouncy track there, which I love. Police and Thieves. So many great anthems on here. From start to finish, it is, like I say, flawless, a punk masterpiece, and cannot say enough great things about the debut album. It is so good. But my number 1 album by The Clash, and you probably knew it going in, but London Calling. Got to give it up for London Calling. This is a double album. It's got 19 tracks on it, but unlike the first disc of Sandinista, it doesn't feel overly long. You've got the great anthem London Calling that name checks the Beatles. I love Beatlemania. Finds its way in there. Brand New Cadillac is just a great rockabilly track. Love all the different styles on here. So you go from the punk of London Calling to the rockabilly of Brand New Cadillac, and then kind of the almost a loungy jazz of Jimmy Jazz. Hateful, Rudy Can't Fail is just a great pop track. These are all pop tracks with a punk attitude. It's not really true punk music, but I love the fact that they still have that edge to them on all these tracks. Spanish Bombs is just a gorgeous track. Lost in the Supermarket is a fun track. Clampdown is just a great gritty rocker with a great beat. Guns of Brixton is so fantastic. Love that beat. Wrong and Boyo is just a buoyant, I don't know what you call it, but it's just, you can dance to it. It's just a fun, almost like a ska, the best ska dance kind of rocker. Love that. Death or Glory is a great anthem. Lovers Rock. I'm Not Down is a great beat to it. And Train in Vain, one of the best pop songs Mick Jones ever wrote. Fantastic album. Love the cover, the artwork, the attitude, the songs, the diversity of this album. It is excellent from start to finish. Love the Clash, and those are my rankings. If you're a Clash fan, even if you're not, but you want to chime in, let me know how you would rank the Clash's album. But as always, take care. Those are just my personal preferences, so, don't get too bent out of shape if I ranked your favorite album too low. Take care, and thanks for watching.